and I had so many requests for a tactics video, so I decided to jump back on camera and talk about one aspect of Ruben Amorim's tactics that I am looking for when I watch the games. Here's another example, and this time it's the wingback who actually passes it to Gyökeres, who's making that diagonal run. And sometimes Gyökeres picks up the ball and actually finds a way to get into the opponent's box, and sometimes he stays on the edge of the box. The point is he gets to advance the ball into the opponent's third. This actually makes me fucking disgusted that I even have to say this. I'm just trying to prove a point. I hate everything I just said, okay? But it is facts. And the only reason why Glazers even let INEOS come to the party and put their money in and get 27% or 29% or whatever the hell it is they have right now is because INEOS promised the Glazers that they're going to make them wealthier. That's it. That was it. There's no promise to win trophies. Happy New Year, guys. We just lost a game against Newcastle yesterday, and I am not in a great mood. But I know one fucking guy who is, this guy. This guy's in a great mood. He did a video with KG today to talk a bunch of trash about our team. I got about 3 to 5 minutes through it, and I had to switch over or turn it off because I am sick of hearing about it. Every channel is talking about all the kinds of bad feelings. We're in a relegation battle and blah, blah, blah. All over the place. People and pundits talking about Amorim should be changing his style, maybe for now, just to win some games and get some better results. I'm going to talk about that too, but I'm going to do it in my way. So hopefully you're with me, join me for a little discussion. And what's up, guys? Thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you for clicking on the thumbnail. Thank you for helping me get to almost 3,000 subscribers. Well, almost 2,700 subscribers. But guys, I only got to 1,000 less than 2 weeks ago. So we went from taking 11 months to get to 1,000 subscribers and then getting another 1,700 within like a week. So thank you very much. That's because of your efforts. That's because you guys clicked that like button. That's because you guys even shared. I had over 1,700 shares this week alone on the last 2 videos that I posted. So that's you guys' work. That's not the YouTube algorithm doing much. That's you guys sharing the video with your friends. So thank you. I can't thank you enough because, you know, as you know, I'm not monetized, so you can't do super chats or send me donations or whatever it is. So your shares mean so much to me. Your clicking the subscribe button means so much to me. If you're new to the channel, you don't have to do it yet, man. I get it. Wait, watch. If you like what I do, click the like or subscribe. And by the way, if you are new to the channel, go back 2 or 3 videos. Find the tactics video, the one that on the thumbnail says why it's going wrong or why it's going bad with Ruben Amorim and a tactics board, and start there. That's the one that seems to get a lot of people who liked it. Now, with that said, you guys also in the comments, the ones that have been with me a long time, are saying that I need to be doing more tactics videos. That you guys really like seeing me talk about what I see in the games and what I'm looking for, and telling you guys what I notice are different or the same as to what Ruben did in sporting. Guys, I wanted to do that like today with the Newcastle game and some sporting games. And I'll tell you the truth, I spent about 3.5, 4 hours after rewatching the games yesterday, watching the sporting game and watching our Newcastle game again last night, and a sporting game from the past when Ruben was there, and then cutting out some bits and pieces that I saw that I'm looking for. And today I sat down at the computer and just started fiddling around and editing for about 3 hours. And there's just so many thoughts that I've had and scattered thoughts about like, well, this, well, that structure, do they all fit in the same video? They don't fit in the same video. It didn't sound right. And I need to spend more time. And it's New Year's Eve right now. I'm literally 5 hours away from midnight. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to get this done today. So scratch that for now and just talk to you guys for this video, but I will make a tactics video soon. Wait, time out. I was editing this video. I'm going to cut it right here. I was editing this video and I just remembered I'm going to be in Vegas for the next 10 days after New Year's. So I will not be around to sit down and edit a full tactics video for you guys. And I had so many requests for a tactics video. So I decided to jump back on camera and talk about one aspect of Ruben Amorim's tactics that I am looking for when I watch the games. So I've talked about this before in my last video. If you're new, you haven't checked it out, go back and check out the Ruben Amorim tactics video, the one that I had the thumbnail up earlier. One aspect of Ruben Amorim's tactics is that I talk about a lot is diagonal runs. In Ruben Amorim's tactics, there are a lot of diagonal runs, sometimes being done by an attacking midfielder or any of the midfielders, but most of the time it's being done by one of the strikers or the striker. So let's look at an example or some examples from the game between Sporting and Manchester City in Champions League when Ruben Amorim was there. In this example, you're seeing one of the midfielders make a diagonal run. He receives the ball, and on his first touch, and it's very vital that they do it right away, on his first touch, he sends the ball right through to Gyökeres, who's also making that diagonal run. He sent the ball right away before Gyökeres even started his run because he knows that that's what's supposed to happen. Gyökeres picks up the ball and runs down into the opponent's third. Here's another example, and this time it's the wingback who actually passes it to Gyökeres, who's making that diagonal run. And sometimes Gyökeres picks up the ball and actually finds a way to get into the opponent's box, and sometimes he stays on the edge of the box. The point is he gets to advance the ball into the opponent's third. I'm not going to show you what happens next yet because I'm getting to that. But here is one more example, and this time the diagonal run starts even deeper. The play starts even deeper within Sporting's half. Same diagonal run, passes the ball Gyökeres. Gyökeres gets it out of his half and into the opponent's third. Same spot. Now, there's a reason why I'm not showing you the endings of these plays or how they end. And I'll tell you right now, none of these plays end with a goal. But that's not the point. See, Ruben Amorim's actually a very pragmatic manager. He is somebody who's wanting to make sure that he retains possession for long periods of time, because if you retain possession, the other team can't score. So that's one of the reasons why he likes to retain possession. There's a reason why he wants to make these diagonal runs, and he wants them to be a reoccurring theme throughout a game. All those examples I just showed you from the City game, that's just in the first half. So that's 3 times, and believe me, there's probably more, but there's 3 times where Gyökeres advanced the ball into Man City's third in the first half alone. Okay, and that's a game, by the way, where Sporting did not even have a high volume of possession. Man City had most of the possession that game. So even though they barely had the ball or they didn't have the ball that many times, they did this play a lot. Not every time. There's other parts of his tactics too. That's the other thing I want you guys to understand. I'm teaching you about diagonal runs, or I'm talking to you about diagonal runs because it's one of the aspects that I want to get clear. I have other things that I've discovered in his routines or in his tactics that I haven't talked about yet in our videos. And I will get to those when I make future tactic videos. But for today and for the last video, I wanted to explain diagonal runs because I feel like they're so important for what Ruben's trying to do. And I want to make sure that all of us are on the same page and we're looking for the same thing. So I just got done saying Ruben's a very pragmatic coach. This is one of the ways he makes sure that we don't lose games and we get the ball out of trouble and into the opponent's third in these spots that he wants them in. And there's a reason for that too. And it's actually pretty interesting. So come with me. Let's keep going. So the reason why I didn't show you the ending of those plays is because I wanted to show it to you with a play that we ran against Newcastle one time really successfully. And it starts like this. So this is us doing the same play. Licha sends the ball all the way out to Højlund, who's making the diagonal run. Now, Højlund takes a bad touch and turns the ball over right away. But here's the deal. Because of where we turned the ball over, we can now get into our press. And this is why in modern day football, pressing is super important. Now, one thing you will know about modern day football and what this is the kind of play, by the way, that Jurgen Klopp was really good at. Now, why was Jurgen Klopp good at it? Because I believe he learned it from watching Ralf Rangnick's teams, because the person who does this a lot is a Ralf Rangnick team. That's who does these kind of things a lot. They want to send the ball in these areas of the field in the opponent's third so that in case it gets turned over, which most of the time it does, most of your attacks do not lead to goals. Most of your attacks lead to a turnover or a possession change. That's just the way, or else games would have like 20 goals in them. Most attacks lead to possession changes. Well, this is what he wants. He wants the possession to change there, unless we can create some sort of combination play, a 1-2 or a cross, and create a goal out of it. But if we don't, that's where we want the possession to change hands. So now Newcastle has the ball, and the defender passes it back to the goalkeeper. What this does is it triggers our press right away. Ahmad starts to make a curved run, so the goalkeeper's that option, he tries to take away the option of switching the ball. So now the goalkeeper passes it back into that trouble area where most of our other players are running into. And that's the reason why we have to have physical players, because the play went from Licha all the way to the striker within one pass. He bypassed the midfield and sent it all the way to the striker. Well, the other players all have to run and clog up that space because, like I said, most of the time, well, first of all, you're offering support so that the striker, if he gains control of the ball, has someone to pass to. But second of all, in case the striker does turn it over, you are there ready to cast a net and press, basically. Again, this is like what Ralph Rangnick's teams love to do. They do these diagonal runs at the last third and they get the ball in those areas and they press. That's why I'm kind of familiar with it. That's why I spotted it when I first started watching Ruben Amorim play. And then I started seeing it recurring over and over again. Anyways, so we start to have our press, and now the Newcastle defenders have to figure out a way out. And they have a couple of passes. They string together a couple of passes, but really they end up with the ball trapped there with 5 of our defenders. Even Licha has moved all the way up to join in the press to make sure that every single Newcastle player has a person on him. And we actually even have one more person than they have. So we are there. We are ready to get them to turn over the ball. And that's exactly what happens. The Newcastle player tries to dribble in because he has no options to pass. Tries to dribble in, and then he tries the long pass, which actually gets blocked by Eriksen's foot. And then we get the ball back. Now, why do people love to press? Ralph Rangnick, I believe, was one of the people who originated this phrase that most goals are scored within 10 seconds of a transitional turnover, or a turnover, if you will. And that's why teams like Ralph Rangnick teams and Ruben Amorim teams like Manchester City, doesn't matter, Liverpool, modern day football is trying to set up these kind of plays or situations so that they can trigger a press, gain the ball back in the opponent's half, and then there's a higher probability of getting a goal out of it than there is from stringing together 10 passes that slowly works its way up and scores a goal. Now, both ways are viable. And like I said, Ruben Amorim has more than just this tactic. This is just the one that I keep trying to talk to you guys about because I want to make sure I cover all aspects of it. And then I'll move on to more other tactics in future videos. But I hope you guys learned something from here. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. And if you don't agree with me, leave it in the comments, like I said before. But that's what I think Ruben wants to be done. And remember what I said. That was Sporting doing it 3 times in first half only. So throughout the game, they did it about 7-8 times, guys. That's what I'm expecting to see from our team. Guess what? One time. Maybe twice. Maybe one more time in the second half. But that was it. Rasmus did make the runs a couple times. No one sent him the ball. And last time I showed you guys a video where Bruno Fernandes was making that run, and Bruno Fernandes wasn't getting the ball back from his teammates. Guys, that pass needs to be on the first touch or as soon as possible. And the teammates need to know that that's where the ball is going and that's where the run's going to be before Rasmus even makes the run. You understand what I'm saying here? Or else the ball's not going to go because the defense is going to adjust. And then the defender is not going to pass the ball, or the midfielder is not going to pass the ball. And that play breaks down and we start over, circulating the ball, getting nowhere. These situations need to happen about 4 to 6 times. I was about to say a game, but I'm about to say a half, like 3 to 4 times a half. So maybe 6 to 8 times a game, really, so that we set up these pressing traps too, or they just create a goal if you do it right and you find other combination of plays, play some 1-2s, player gets creative and maybe dribbles past somebody and you create a goal. But even if you don't, you set up this situation where you set up a pressing trap and now you got a 50-50 chance of getting the ball back. And hopefully you get the ball back in a situation where 1 or 2 passes later, you've created a chance. That's it. I'm going to go back to the original video. I'm going to go back to editing and I'm going to cut this in to that video. Thank you. And let's get back to the show. And what I want to talk about today is some of the things that everybody else is saying and my ideas. My ideas are different than others. Guys, I started this channel originally because I was not hearing my thoughts on other people's channels. I started this channel because I didn't agree with 90% of the stuff that I hear on other content creator channels or what pundits are saying on actual television networks. Guys, that doesn't mean I think they're wrong and I'm right, or they're bad and I'm good or whatever. I just mean I'm different. Like, I think different. I see it differently. And I'd like to have someone who had my opinion out there too, to see if more people maybe agree or disagree with that opinion also, that it's not all just like, here's what everybody else thinks. Now, let's start with the whole argument about Amorim changing his style or changing his system for the short term, just to get some better results so we don't get relegated. Couple things. Number one, for the guys who are just new, that are just joining us for the first time, haven't been here before, don't know me. And maybe the guys who just newly subscribed 2 videos ago or a couple of videos ago don't know everything about me or either. Guys, I am a professional coach, not football. I don't coach football, but I am a sports coach, and I work with players, and I coach them, and I try to get them to perform better and blah, blah, blah. And there are tactics in what I do and everything else, okay? And there's performance-based is more my forte, but yes, there are tactics in what I do too. Now, here's the deal. So as a coach, I will tell you the worst thing I can do is tell everybody that this is the way to do it, and then after they fail, for me to look at them and go, look, we're gonna put that on the shelf for now, and we're gonna do it this way to get some better results. Number one, the other way doesn't guarantee. There's no guarantee the other way is gonna work, and that we're gonna get better results. That's number one. So if it doesn't work, the player is not gonna trust me anymore because I don't know what I'm talking about. It looks like I'm just throwing shit on the wall and see what sticks. You get what I'm saying? I have to believe in what I'm teaching. I have to believe in it with my entire mind, body, and soul, and show passion when I'm teaching it, and so that I can be strict, so that I can tighten the screws, so I can get angry if it's not done the way I want it done, because I love it so much and I believe in it and I know it's the right way to be, or else they won't believe in it. If I show hesitation, if I back up, they'll not believe in it. So that's one thing that can go wrong, is that the other way doesn't work either. And now the players think I'm full of shit and that I'm just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. The other thing that can go wrong is it could actually work and we could actually get some better results. But then what happens is you get a pushback when it's time to go back to the original plan. Because you know that there's a ceiling with this plan, that you only did it for the midterm, for the short term, to get some results. You as the coach know, look, this might get me a couple more wins, but this is never going to get me the trophies. This is never going to get me back to the Champions League or whatever. But it might get me a couple more wins against weaker teams or against teams that are susceptible to the counterattack or whatever the hell that this is, right? So then if that gets a couple more wins, the players don't think the way the coach does. The players will go, why can't we just do that? Because the other way we were failing. Why can't we just do that? And then they start to be disgruntled. They start to begrudge you. They start to not play for you when you want to go back to the other way, especially players who fit this system but don't fit that system. So they're like, oh, he doesn't like me. That's why he's switching. It's just a massive problem, guys. You guys are smart enough to figure out, after I said what I just said, you're smart enough to take that path and start unlocking the logic for yourself, right? You guys know where I'm going with it, is what I'm saying. I want to respect you enough to go, I don't have to explain everything all the way to the end. You guys know where I was going. You know how to get to where I'm trying to get to in your own heads. Guys, it's not going to work. That's not a good idea. If you're thinking that, it's because of desperation. You're desperate. You're getting sick and tired and frustrated with these results. And I get it. I hold my hands up. I'm frustrated too. I have to watch the damn game like 3 times. Because I'm crazy. I usually used to watch it twice, but now because I have to also edit it, some of the clips I have to watch like 5 times because I have to draw arrows and circles so I can show you guys stuff. And some of them are most of them are mistakes that I'm drawing on, that I'm going like, he's supposed to run here and he didn't do it. Do you know how frustrating it is for me to have to watch that over and over again? And I'm like, you idiot. I start hating the player. He made one mistake, but because I had to watch it 7 times, it's like he made the mistake 7 times. Do you know how mad I am at Licha right now? Because I seen him make those mistakes. The reason why we got scored on is Licha. The reason why we got scored on against Nottingham Forest was Licha. Licha is not a good defender this year. I don't know what to tell you. Licha, after the World Cup, for some reason, just started trailing off and falling off a cliff. Maguire was much better than Lisandro Martinez in yesterday's game. Maguire was telling Lisandro Martinez, literally pointing 2 times that I can remember off the top of my head. I'll try to stick them in here. Literally pointing to Lissandro to tell him what his assignment is, and Lissandro's like in La La Land, not paying attention. And one of you guys is going to leave a comment and try to defend Lissandro on this and go, well, he was actually out of position. Maguire should have done it. No, that's not true. Lissandro on the goal with Isak should have been in front of Isak, shouldn't have been behind Isak. So he should have raced. Maguire had to cover the front post because the other guy was running to the front post, or just in case the other guy runs to the front post. That's why he pointed at Isak, and Licha wasn't there. Licha was lazy. Same thing happened against Nottingham Forest. He was too small. He didn't even jump. The guy jumped over him and headed it in. It's just, it's looking bad. We need a center back. I don't even know if we're getting anybody. I don't know if we're getting anybody because these guys from INEOS who came in, with some of you guys wanted, some of you guys didn't want any Qatari money because you don't want sports washing or whatever, which I don't believe in, but okay. Whatever you want. I don't believe in sports washing. I just don't think it really works. Like, you can call it whatever you want to call it. I just don't think that all of a sudden a team is bought by a state, and next thing you know, the state now can get away with like mistreating people. They're going to keep doing what they do, whether they buy a team or they don't buy a team. And it doesn't make them any less guilty or more guilty. I don't know, whatever, man. Like, it's all good. People believe whatever they want to believe, and I get it, man. That's your prerogative. That's your right. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe that someone can do evil things, and because they bought a team that they're no longer evil and people are going to look at them in a better light or whatever. I just don't agree with that. I just think that it's people who have a lot of money who need something to invest in, and sports is actually one of the things that they found out is recession proof. That's where I come from. I come at it from the business aspect. Why does Clearwater, is that their name? Whatever, the people who bought Chelsea, I forgot the hedge fund's name. Why do hedge funds want to buy soccer teams or football teams? Why do hedge funds want to buy football teams in the Premier League or anywhere else? Because sports are recession proof, guys. Doesn't matter if COVID is happening. Doesn't matter if everybody else, the economy's tanking. Sports still makes money. People still want to watch sports spills. People still want to attend sporting events. And people still care about sports no matter how. Actually, during recession, during bad times, fans of football clubs care more about their clubs because it's the only thing they got. Everything else is going down the drain in their lives. So they pour more like sweat and tears into like back in their club and being a fan. So sports is actually, they found out that sports is one of the best investments you can make. You can look it up on Google. Just Google it. Sports are recession proof, and then you'll get whatever you get. That's why I think people with a lot of money who need to invest the money somewhere, you got a bunch of billions or trillions from oil, not trillions, but probably billions from oil. You can't just leave it hanging around. And then they've already diversified. They've already invested in banks and buying land and everything else. And they're like, what else can we do? Oh, let's buy a sports team, especially one that they like, if they like Manchester United. But anyway, that doesn't matter. I just went on a rant for no fucking reason. We're stuck with INEOS. INEOS came in and partnered up with the Glazers. I need you to remember that. This is so vital to the discussion and the conversation. Anybody who defends INEOS, I need you to remember you're defending the Glazers. Please don't tell me otherwise. If I defend your partner, then I'm defending you. That's just the way it is. If you're partners with somebody, which means you guys are in business together, if Microsoft is owned by Bill Gates and whatever the other guy's name is, and I say Bill Gates is doing the right things, that means the other guy is doing the right things too, because the other guy is voting to let Bill Gates do those things. So they're partners. They're in bed together. They have a common goal. They share a common goal. They own the company together. And if anything, the Glazers even own more than INEOS. And the only reason why Glazers even let INEOS come to the party and put their money in and get 27% or 29% or whatever the hell it is they have right now is because INEOS promised the Glazers that they're going to make them wealthier. That's it. That was it. There's no promise to win trophies. I promise you that. There's a promise of becoming wealthier because you can't guarantee winning trophies. You can't. Doesn't matter how, but you can guarantee that we're going to run the business better and we're going to make more money. That you can guarantee. And what do they do to like show them in year number one? Look, it's only been a year, right? Everybody knows it's been a year of INEOS running the company. Within the first year, how much expenses have they cut out already? Hell, they even cut out a $40,000 charity donation, like to a foundation that helps people make funeral arrangements who can't afford funerals that used to play for the club. $40,000 slashed. There you go. That's $40,000 we can keep in the bank. Other than that, they slashed, 250 jobs? 250 employees, hardworking Mancunians who are probably blue collar, who need that money to provide for families or themselves, for food and shelter, lost their jobs so that the Americans have a better balance sheet. And the man says, I want to put the Manchester back into Manchester United. He's putting the Manchester back into Manchester United, but the Americans are getting richer while Mancunians are getting laid off. If you defend INEOS, that's what you're defending. Am I lying? Leave it in, if I got it wrong, leave it in the comments, but please come with me. Come to me with intelligent arguments. Don't come to me with like silly speech. Don't come to me because you watch The Muppeteers and believe everything you hear. Sorry, James. I'm sorry. You back INEOS way too much. If you're watching this, you back INEOS way too much. You never say a negative word about them, and I get it, man. Your bread is buttered because they give you information. Somebody on the inside gives you information, and obviously, if you say negative things, you might not get that information anymore. And I get it, dude. I might do the same thing one day if that's what happens. I don't know. I hope I don't. I hope I can find a way around that. But anyways, that's not the point of this video. And I can even say Andy Minton. All of us like Andy Minton. I watch all the Muppeteers videos, not all the way through. Sometimes it's just a little boring and I leave, and that's fine. People do that with my videos. I get it. But I do watch most of the videos. And I read most of the things Andy does, and I even watch most of the things he posts because they're good sources of information, and that's really why I'm going there. I'm not going there because I agree with everything they do or I agree with everything they say. I go there because they're good sources of information. And Andy comes out and says that he's heard for years that Rashford is a problem, and from different coaches in confidence, and that people are giving him his flowers now. Well, here's the deal. Why did he stay quiet? You're going to say because he was told that in confidence. You can't just come out and say everything you're told by your sources in confidence. Sure, but you also don't have to back the player if you've known for years that he's a problem. If you've known for years he's a problem, you could be saying things like, we really need an upgrade on this player or stuff like that. You don't have to come out and say what the problem is, and you don't have to come out and say anybody told you anything. You can just come out and say, I really wish we would get an upgrade on this guy. I really wish that blah, blah, blah. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what I would do. That's what I would do if I was in one of their positions. If I was in one of their positions, I wouldn't out my source and I wouldn't say exactly or directly what I've been told, but that would affect me in some way. If I heard news like that, it would affect me in some way. I'd be like, well, now I'm not a Marcus Rashford fan anymore. And that would come out in my videos in some other way because it's my truth. Do you see what I'm saying there? Like, I don't know. I just can't fake my truth, but I won't out my sources and I won't ever let it be known that I was told anything. That's what I would do. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The thing about Andy is, though, Andy claims Sir Jim Ratcliffe is here to rescue us. He's got his heart in the right place, that he wants to put Manchester United back on the top of the mountain, that he put his own money in, unlike the Glazers, I heard him saying, which is a moot point because you can't do leverage buyouts anymore. And to be honest with you, like, the Glazers did put $250 million in too in the beginning, and then they put the rest on a leverage. They leveraged the rest. So they did put some of their own money in the beginning. Now, of course, they've sucked out way more than they've put in, and I'm not here trying to defend the Glazers. It actually makes me fucking disgusted that I even have to say this. I'm just trying to prove a point. I hate everything I just said, okay? But it is facts. And to claim that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is better than the Glazers because of these points means absolutely fuck all nothing. It means nothing. That is not something you can put out there for me as, well, he did more than the Glazers because of this. No, he didn't. No, it's the same thing. He bought the business in the only way he knows how. He bought into the business the only way he knows how. By partnering up with the Glazers because he didn't have enough money to buy the whole thing. I don't think he did. Maybe he does. And if he does and he's not doing it, then what is this? We're going to get to that in a second. I want to finish my point first. And Andy said that Sir Jim let him ask all the tough questions, that he didn't shy away from any tough questions. How I could have answered those questions. I could have answered those questions too. How hard is it to ask an experienced businessman like Sir Jim Ratcliffe financial questions when all he has to do is bring up how crap the business has been run? He just has to talk about how shitty the business has been run and how tough decisions have to be made and sacrifices have to be made. Here, I'll paraphrase every answer that Sir Jim Ratcliffe said so you don't have to read the interview. We've been run like shit for years, so we've got to make some tough choices and some sacrifices. We're going to put the Manchester back into Manchester United. Those aren't tough questions. That's it. That was it and done. Here's some questions I would have asked. I would ask them this. Why bid against the Qataris if you don't have the financial might to buy the whole club and take us out of debt? Do you plan on buying the whole club? When do you plan on buying the whole club? If so, why isn't it happening as quickly as possible? Is this just an exercise for a couple of years to find out if buying the whole club at that price is even worth it financially, if it makes sense financially? And are we just going to wait around for you to find out if we're financially a viable option for you to keep investing in the club? Those are tough questions. Those are tough questions that I would love to see Sir Jim Ratcliffe's face and answer to. That's how you come at somebody and go, come on, man, give me some honest truth. I want to see what's actually going on. Don't go, well, you came in making promises and you've laid off a bunch of people, blah, blah, blah. Well, we've been run like shit for years and we've had to make some tough decisions. And, sadly, sacrifices have to be made. Wow, how hard was that? That's a tough question? How hard is that? I don't mean to go at Andy Mitten here. He's actually a pretty nice guy from everything I've seen. I'm not calling him out on it. I'm just saying, don't wave the INEOS flag around when you haven't really asked them the tough questions for real. You haven't put their back against the wall and figured this out. Because honestly, all these FFP, PSR, all this stuff we're talking about is because nobody bought the whole club and paid off the debts. Are we in a better place now than we were when the Glazers were running the company without Sir Jim? Because the Glazers wouldn't have had the balls to lay off this many people. The Glazers wouldn't have had the balls to not provide $40,000 to the foundations. The Glazers made some stupid fucking decisions. I'm trying not to curse because I've already cursed a lot in this video. The Glazers made some stupid decisions. Very stupid. Stupid. Bankruptcy-wise stupid. But guess what? They were close to selling the company because they could see that, oh my God, we're running this company into the dirt. We better sell now before it becomes worthless. Okay? And he bailed them out. INEOS bailed them out. I don't care how you cut it. He bailed them out. Even if they didn't sell, guys. Even if you're one of those people who thinks, oh, they were never going to sell to the Qataris or the Qataris don't exist, which is bullshit, by the way. The Qataris did exist. And some of you guys, there's this guy on Twitter that I can't stand that says things like, oh, the SEC filings say the Qataris never showed proof of funds. When the Athletic article clearly states that the Qataris showed the National Bank of Qatar providing that they're, going to provide the funds, that the proof of funds was with the National Bank of Qatar. Now, as in business, anybody can stipulate that that's not good enough. That's not good enough. We don't want it from the National Bank of Qatar. We want it from Citibank. We want it from Bank of America or Chase Internet or Chase Bank or whatever, or Barclays. We don't want it from National Bank of Qatar. But you only do that because you're playing hardball because you already have another bidder. You don't disrespect the National Bank of Qatar just for none. Now, you may ask yourself, well, why would they do that in the first place? Why wouldn't they just say we chose the Glazers? Because it looks bad when someone else was ready to pay for the whole thing and you decided to only sell a part of it. So you make yourself look a little bit stronger and better by saying they didn't actually provide us funds, so they weren't even a viable option and blah, blah, blah. I don't know why. There's a million possible reasons why. Just because it says in the SEC filing that they did not provide financial proof of funds does not mean that they did not actually provide proof of funds. It just means that they stipulated that maybe the way they provided proof of funds wasn't the right way and we want it this way instead. But that only happens because they had another bidder. If they didn't have another bidder and they were desperate to sell, they would have sold. And if they actually wanted a different method and they gave the Qataris a reason that, hey, if you do this, we will sell it to you. I'm sure the Qataris would have complied and just wire transferred the money to another bank or whatever. They would have got an intermediary involved and figured it out. It wasn't the case. They're the Glazers. The Glazers do deals like this. You know this. It takes 2 years for them to make a decision. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't need to explain this. You guys should already know this. Everybody should know this. This isn't something that needs explaining. So anyway, to get back to my original point, which I'm way off, Happy New Year, which I'm way off, is that the hard questions weren't asked. Sir Jim Ratcliffe wasn't asked everything. And now we got to figure out if these guys are actually going to back our manager in the January transfer window. Guys, that's it for today. I've done a lot of talking. I was actually in a good mood when I started this because it is New Year's Eve. And now I got to get in a better mood before I go outside and hang out with my girlfriend and we get ready to celebrate New Year's Eve. Guys, I better go.